Tell me what you're looking to do with them.
Well, I'm asking $5,000.
The pawn shop sees a little bit of everything, but every so often, something comes through those doors that completely blows everyone's mind. Whether it's a shocking price tag, an unbelievable backstory, or a deal no one saw coming, these are the Pawn Stars moments that had jaws dropping on both sides of the counter. Get ready. These moments are next level .88. We'd start this list with Rick's coming in with a one-of-a-kind item, at least so he says. He comes in with Ronald Reagan's cowboy hat from the year 1982. Rick hears that and his face doesn't seem to trust that the item is an original. The customer tells Rick that the hat was given to Ronald Reagan by the president of Brazil. But does that mean the hat is not a fake? Let's find out.
Here, that's Ronald Reagan's cowboy hat from 1982.
Well, you heard the man. The customer says that he got the hat from the president's assistant's daughter. He says that the hat is in perfect condition and it has no damage at all. He says that he wants to sell the hat to Rick for $5,000. I mean, if the hat isn't a fake, Rick could actually buy it for $5,000. But then again, that's a pretty heavy amount of money for just a hat.
In the early 80s, Reagan was trying to really help out South American economies.
Looks like Rick just gave this customer a history lesson on the item he brought in. Somehow, that's not even surprising. It's Rick. He knows something about almost everything. But from what Rick just explained to the customer, there seems to be some really interesting backstory relating to this hat right here. All that does not mean the hate is going to be worth $5,000 though, but let's allow Rick to be the judge of that.
And this is like the paperwork you got here. Obviously a Brazilian newspaper written in Portuguese.
Haha, I just had a feeling the hat was just too good to be true. Looks like the loopholes are starting to come out. The customer shows Rick a paper that says the hat is very much original. After that, he tells Rick that he wants $5,000 for the hat. Rick then takes a closer look at the hat and realizes that the date on the hat does not match the document the man brought in, claiming that it was an original. Now, that's not a good sign.
Here's my big problem. I truly believe it's Reagan's hat. Of all things in the world to fake, why the hell would you fake this?
I guess there goes that deal. Rick explains to the customer that even though he believes that the item is legit, convincing people who want to buy it from him is going to be very difficult. Why? Well, the date on the hat does not match the date on the paperwork, and everyone is going to think that the item is a fake, and Rick is not ready to deal with all that. He is definitely going home with empty pockets.
Hey, I'm here to sell my Pearl Jam blacklight poster. I had a blacklight art show coming up.
I mean, anybody would be shocked if they found out that Eddie Vedder signed their artwork. Now this customer walks into the pawn shop and he has Chum all excited with the item he brought in. He says that he wants to sell his Pearl Jam blacklight poster that was signed by Eddie Vedder. I'm not going to lie, the poster looked cool as hell. I can't blame Chum for being very excited.
This poster's pretty cool. Pearl Jam is a pretty iconic band. They kind of were along that first wave of grunge music.
Now I can't argue with that. Chum is right. This poster is so cool. The customer told Chum that he makes these types of posters to sell them and make some money in the art world. Chum wants to get a proper look at how the poster glows in the dark. The lights are turned off and I must tell you, the poster glows in a really beautiful way. This customer is going to want a fortune for this item.
How much are you looking to get?
$20,000.
Okay, I'll be honest with you, that seems a lot.
He seems pretty confident about his painting being very legit. Chin asked him how much he wanted for the poster, and he said $20,000. My jaw dropped when I heard that amount. Now Chum is not familiar with the customer's work, or even if the signatures on the poster are legit. He tells the customer that he would need an expert to come take a look at the item. Let's see how that goes.
Pearl Jam does a lot of posters. They have them for almost every show they do. And Vedder does sign that stuff. Those typically go for $800.
Well, I guess we have the answer we've been looking for. The expert takes a look at the poster, and he can't deny the fact that it's an amazing work of art. The only problem is that the customer has not worked with the crew before, so right now, it only has a potential of being worth $20,000. The expert then says that he values the poster for $6,000, and honestly, that's not bad. Is the customer going to take the deal?
You heard what Steve had to say, and I honestly don't think I'm going to be able to make you an offer on it.
There goes that deal. I kind of saw that coming. Chum tells the customer that he is not interested in buying the poster, not because he doesn't want to, but because trying to explain to anyone who wants to buy it how the piece came about is just going to leave anyone thinking that the item didn't come from proper channels. Let's just say there was no deal to be made when he was done explaining to the customer.
I have a baseball autographed by Sammy Sosa.
Rick and his son are just the perfect combination of hilarious. This customer walks into the pawn shop and says that he has a baseball that was autographed by Sammy Sosa after he won the National League Most Valuable Player Award in 1998. If that's true, then this baseball might actually be worth quite a heavy amount of money. Well, let's see if Rick has some knowledge about this baseball.
I'm hoping to sell this autographed baseball for $750 today.
From everything they just said, I'm sure you can tell that Sammy Sosa was a big deal back in the day. Rick and Corey get into a whole conversation about how Sammy Sosa was the real deal back in the day when it came to baseball. Even the customer who brought in the ball had no idea that there was so much to the name Sammy Sosa. Now, we get down to how much this customer wants baseball.
I'm gonna get $750.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
That definitely shattered his hopes of walking out of the shop with $750. I do not want to be in this guy's shoes. He told Rick that he wanted $750 for the baseball, and Rick told him straight up that it was not going to happen because signed baseballs don't sell for that high. They do a little dance around, and Rick eventually buys the baseball for $65. It must really suck to be that guy right now.
And we got here in 1887 hospital knife from Springfield Armory.
I'm pretty sure that's the option most people would go with. This gentleman walks into the pawn shop and shows Corey some pretty interesting knives. He has some 1,887 hospital knives from Springfield Armory. He even goes on to say that they are extremely rare, and having more than one of the knives in the same place is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But could the knives really be that rare?
To get your knives. So Springfield Armory became it. These were utility knives.
Well, this customer is not wrong. Seeing such huge knives from that long ago is actually very rare. He tells Corey that he bought the swords from a local auction house in Vegas, but the auction house has now been shut down. He is looking to get $5,000 for the whole set. If the knives are legit, that doesn't sound like a bad price at all. But first, Corey has to be the judge of that.
Yeah, I'd give you about $500 a piece.
Well, I'm here to negotiate.
Okay.
Man, that was one tough bargaining session. The customer started off by telling Corey that he wanted $5,000 for all the knives. Of course, Corey was not going to agree with that. Corey then said that he was going to pay $1,200 for the items, and this customer just wasn't going to take that deal. In the end, Corey told him that if he changed his mind, the pawn shop is always open to him. Hopefully, he changes his mind.
It's a World War II SACO medal set.
This is really, really interesting.
Well, that explains why Rick initially said that it was weird. Those are some pretty weird rules. This elderly guy walks in and tells Rick that he has something special for him. He pulls out World War II SACO medals, and Rick is immediately fascinated by the item. Now that I think of it, I don't think I've ever heard the acronym SACO. Oh well, let's see if there's more to this medal, shall we?
World War II SACO medals. These medals are in immaculate condition.
Wow, sounds like SACO was a pretty big deal back in the day. Rick gets into the backstory about SACO, and he says that it was the intelligence agency before the CIA or FBI came into place. I can't even lie, it's amazing how Rick has so much knowledge about these items. It's as if he takes extra classes learning about random items. Oh well, now that he knows the history, it's time to talk about how much the man wants for the medals.
How much you looking to get out of them?
I'm looking for $5,000.
Do you know if they're reissues?
Don't know what a reissue is, but
That didn't come as a surprise, given the fact that this customer wants $5,000 for all the medals he brought in. Rick is confused because there was a time when the medals were remade for people who didn't initially get them when the US gave them out. Rick wants his expert to determine when exactly these particular medals were made and how much they are actually worth.
And at a reunion, they made up 600 commemorative medal.
Looks like Rick now has the answer he has been looking for. His expert came on and he has been able to determine when these medals were produced. The expert told Rick that the medals aren't the original ones that were initially produced when SACO was still very functional. That's bad news for the customer who brought them in. Well, let's see if Rick is still going to be interested in having them.
Yeah, there's a collector market for these, but it's like book collectors, they want first editions.
I guess that ends that deal. Rick explained to the customer that if the medals had been the very first edition that was initially given, they would have been worth a lot of money. Rick then proceeds to offer the customer $250, but as expected, the customer said that price was too low for him to sell the medals. He did his research, and the prices he saw were way over $250. Oh well, better luck next time. See.
I have a Peter Lick photography book. As you can tell, it's really, really big, so I'm trying to downsize and get rid of it.
Haha. I can't believe he said that the item looks like a coffee table. But then again, that thing is heavy. This lady walks in and says that she has a Peter Lick book titled Equation of Time, and she's looking to get rid of it. She says that it's quite heavy and she needs both the space and money. Well, let's see if Chum is going to be interested in buying the book from this lady, shall we?
I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get to sell the piece today, but eventually it will sell.
Wow, Peter Lick seems to be quite the photographer from what I can see. His work is very impressive. Chum takes a proper look at the photo book, and he can't believe his eyes. He talks a little about Peter Lick, and even the lady who brought in the photo book is surprised by how much Chum knows about the photographer. If I were the lady, I honestly wouldn't sell this piece. Oh well, let's see how much she wants for it.
How much are you looking to get for it?
I'm actually hoping to get close to $7,000 since it does have the autograph.
Ow! She is probably the happiest woman right now. Looks like she was able to get on Chum's good side. Plus, if we are being honest, Chum was not going to let $100 stop him from having such an extraordinary piece of artwork. They got into a bargaining war, and the lady was able to convince Chum to get the item for $2,000. It's safe to say that it was a win-win for both Chum and the lady. Now let's see what's next.
Hey Rick, do we have any volcanoes in Nevada?
We do not have any active volcanoes in them. Is this the book you paid $2,000 for?
Well, let's just say that's all Rick is going to say about that. This lady's photo book has given Chum some inspiration. Chum tells his dad that he wants to recreate his own photo book. Of course, his dad is supportive and wants him to do that, but at the same time, Chum does not have all the resources in place. He tells his dad he is going to take out a loan, and that should cover all he needs. Well, let's see how that plays out.
The expert's going to say something like it was Napoleon's personal shield and, they could trace it back to his deathbed or something like that.
Wow, Chum really means business. He wasn't joking when he told Rick that he wanted to recreate the photo book that he bought for $2,000. He has been out all day taking pictures, and he sure seems confident that he can recreate the photo book. I can't wait to see how it turns out when he is done with the whole project. Hopefully Rick loves it in the end.
Amazing, right? But not as amazing as the quantum of Pinky Lee.
My mind is blown right now. Chum was actually able to pull it off. I mean, it's not as perfect as the one in the photo book, but he pulls off something very impressive. Now he tells Rick and Corey that he plans to sell the images for $150 to anyone who wants to buy them. Corey tells Rick that it doesn't sound like such a bad plan, but it doesn't seem like Rick is interested in the idea. Well, let's see if they can convince him.
The book this picture was based off of. Where's Pinky? This is a bunch of broken glass, and there's a lot of Pinkies in there.
This is absolutely funny. Corey and Rick can't help but laugh at the fact that the entire photo book is all about Chum's dog named Pinky. But then again, what do they expect when the name of the book is literally Quantum of Pinkley? There's no way this book is going to get them any money. Oh well, at least Chum was able to make his own photo book, so that counts for something.
How are you doing?
What we got here?
It is an old French shield from the era of Napoleon.
Ha ha! I'm not going to lie, that shield looks like it was used by tortoises. It's so damn small. Now this elderly man finds his way into the pawn shop. He says that he has a very old Napoleonic shield. He says that he is looking to get $400 from the sale of the item. He hopes to use the money to get some other collectibles with his son. Now, let's see what Rick knows about this item.
Basically, once he became emperor, he was really into style and symbolism.
Could that be true? Rick gets into detail about the history and story behind the item. They conclude that conversation, and Rick asks him how much he wants for the item. The customer says that he has seen places where the item has been sold for up to $750. He then tells Rick that he wants $400 for the item he brought in, since it feels like a pretty fair price. Is Rick really going to agree to $400? Let's see.
The third was in control. This was his nephew, and he readopted First Napoleon's all of his stuff.
Well, that didn't come as a surprise if we are being honest. Rick knows about the history behind the item, but he doesn't know if this particular item is an original or a fake. He tells the customer that he wants to check in with one of his friends that's going to help him know if this item is authentic. I guess we'd have to wait and see what the expert has to say.
And then Second Empire is Napoleon III, who is his nephew. That stuff's not very collectible.
Let's just say Rick now has all the information he needs. Rick hopes on a Zoom call with his friend, and the friend gets into the details about the item. He tells Rick that this particular coat of arms was used in the Second Empire and not the First. It would have been worth a lot of money if it were to be used in the First Empire. All in all, the expert says that this item is not worth more than $300. Now, is the customer going to go with this new price? Or is Rick even going to go a bit lower?
He thinks it's probably Napoleon III, the Second Empire, not the first one.
Walking away with $175 for an item he paid just $50 for is way better than nothing at all. Rick wrapped up his call with his friends and came right to the customer to explain all that he had been told. He told the customer that he would buy the item for $175 and he wasn't going to go any further. The customer gave it some thought, and in the end, he agreed with the price.
What in the world do we got here?
Well, we have some cold painted bronzes made by Franz Bergman.
Those statues look older than my grandfather. I wonder where these guys get some of the items they bring into the pawn shop. Now, this lady right here has what she calls cold-painted bronze statues that were made by Franz Bergmann. She says that they were made around the 19th century and she has had them for a bit. Man, that is quite old.
And they're all unique. I'm ready to sell because I'm getting up in age and my children don't want them. Nobody wants their parents' things anymore.
You know, this is the first time a customer would come into the pawn shop and actually have a very good knowledge of the item they are looking to sell. That's very impressive. She tells Corey about the item, and he also says that he has actually never seen something like this before. Well, let's see how much this lady is going to want for these statues she has brought into the pawn shop.
I get her in really good condition. What are you looking to get for these?
You have a chair you can sit down on?
What a funny old lady. She is not wrong, though. For the first time, Corey seems to be both speechless and confused about an item. The lady tells him that she wants $30,000 for 6 statues. And that price just sends cold shivers down Corey's spine. He tells the lady that he has to get his art guy to come check them out since the statues are out of his league, like the lady said.
This one, when we look at it, we can see that it's painted and it's got a...
Haha! This lady's face says it all. She is not happy with what the expert has said so far. He comes in and begins to check out the statues one by one. The first one is not made of bronze, and that immediately disqualifies it. The second one is made of bronze, but it's not made by the artist she mentioned. He picks up the third, and that seems to also be a fake. He is about to inspect the other statues, and the lady is about to lose her mind.
If they were all real, they'd be worth around $30,000, but they're not.
There you have it. That's the final blow. The expert is done going through all the statues, and he tells Corey that they might all be antique, but they are all fake. Definitely not what the old lady was hoping to hear. She might as well kiss her dreams of walking out of here with $30,000 goodbye. But first, let's see what Corey has to tell the lady. Maybe he might make her an offer.
You can immediately discount. This one's not right. So now I'm gonna look at this one. This one, when I pick it up, it's bronze.